Welcome one and all to a Train Love 16 video.
Good morning, everyone. Today I am at the National Railway Museum here in York. It's been a very long time since I've been here. This is only my third ever visit to this museum. I've only been here twice before in my life. Once when I was only 4, back in 2008, and again in 2018, but now I'm back here for the third time. So I've already donated. Entry is free, but they do ask you to donate, so that's what I've done. So now we'll head on through there in a moment. It's going to be a great day. Here we are in the main area of the museum, and the first engine we are greeted by is Henry Oakley, one of the 2 surviving Great Northern Railway C1 Atlantics. Henry Oakley's the small boiler one. There's also a large boiler one up at the Bressingham Steam Museum in Suffolk. Lovely. Aha! Now this engine here is one of my favourite locomotives. Everyone, meet the face of this channel, Evening Star, number 92220. A BR9F freight locomotive that's the face of my channel. The 9Fs are my favourite steam locomotives of all, and Evening Star is my favourite of the 9Fs. Not only because it's painted Brunswick green, which is a rarity for the 9Fs, most of them were painted BR black, but also because this engine was the very last British steam locomotive ever built. It only ran for 5 years in working service, from 1960 to 1965, but it was intended for preservation the moment it was built, because it was the very last steam locomotive ever built in this country until Tornado was built in was completed in 2008. So yeah, the face of my channel, Evening Star. I'm now getting to see him in person. Beautiful stuff. Now here's a quick look inside Evening Star's cab. We can't actually go on the footplate, but there is like a viewing platform that you can go up to have a look in the cab. See, they've got the AWS bell thing there, whatever the equivalent. That was the equivalent though, the AWS bell. Yeah, even the later steam locomotives had AWS fitted. First developed by the Great Western Railway in the early 20th century. All drivers need to acknowledge that bell, because if they didn't, the brakes would come on. That would activate every time a train would pass a yellow or a red, or approaches a yellow or red signal. And if the driver doesn't acknowledge it, the brakes automatically come on. It was a system first pioneered by the Great Western Railway and is now mandatory over the entire country. So just a quick peek through here into Henry Oakley's cab, the C1 Atlantic. Lovely. Here we got one of the oldest ones, oldest steam locomotives ever. Age Noria. Built by the primitive locomotive railway pioneer John Wistrack, worked with Richard Trevithick. One of the judges in the Rainhill trials. So this is a really old locomotive, built all the way back in 1829, one of the oldest still in existence. It's not the oldest, but it's one of the oldest. Now these are some of the oldest coaches that would have been in use when the railways first came about. Well, I can't climb on there. First and second class passengers would have ridden in these wooden stagecoaches that were perched on top of four-wheel coal trucks. But these kinds of coaches were extremely dangerous. In an accident, the flimsy wooden superstructure would have broken away from the undercarriage with disastrous consequences, splinters, lots of injury and death in an accident. Very, very dangerous coaches these were, but thankfully, thankfully they're a lot safer compared to today. But these are some of the least crash-worthy coaches that were ever built. I'm glad these were preserved though, but no way would these be allowed in proper service on the railways today. But if you couldn't afford an underclaver first or second class coaches, if you were a poor working class person, you had to make do with something like this. An open goods truck with benches. And you were lucky to get benches. Some railway companies even divided these kinds of open goods trucks between the carriage of people and livestock. Now these coaches are relatively well known. These are some of the coaches that were used on the Liverpool and Manchester Railway when it first opened. These are basically stage coaches. Stagecoaches pulled by horses, only built for the rails. That's why they look a lot like horse-drawn stagecoaches. And even today, coaches are still called that. So as with these coaches, with these ones you have the fully enclosed, padded, comfortable coaches for the first and second class passengers. Then you have these blue open coaches for the peasants, with benches inside. But yeah, these coaches were a tiny bit safer than these ones, at least from what I can tell, but not by much. Still would have not been that safe for all these coaches. There's no way these would be allowed to be used in proper service today. See, look, Liverpool and Manchester Railway coaches from the 1830s. Cheaper and more comfortable than by road. Always was suitable for people as well as goods. Very few coaches for people had been built before. Open wagons for third class. The original ones no longer exist. These are just replicas that were built in the 30s. I see, I thought they were the originals, oh no. These were made for the centenary celebrations in 1930, I see, based on the originals built in 1834. They're still very old, these coaches then, but not the originals. Aha! Now this is the engine that would have pulled them. The Rocket. Built. The original was built in 1829. This is a replica built in 1934. Sorry. This is a replica. The original Rocket does still exist though it's based, I believe it's either in the Science Museum in London or Manchester. I can't remember which one. It might be down in London, but the original Rocket does still exist. This is just a replica built in 1934. This is what Rocket would have looked like when the original Rocket would have looked like when it was built in 1829. Yellow paint and all. Because it's painted black and yellow, apparently attracts wasps during the summer. Well, it did when it ran outside. This is a nice one. Furness Railway number 3 from the 1840s, I believe. See, by now engines were starting to look like the steam locomotives as we know them today, but they were still quite a way off. Giant copper firebox at the top. Basically looks like a kitchen stove, these fireboxes. Large tender, open cab. Yeah, there was no enclosed cab for the drivers on the earliest engines. This is one of the original Furness Railway engines though. 1846.
Frame was iron bars.
Iron bars, cool. Oh, this one's called Hippopotamus. This engine class was literally called the Hippopotamus class. Never knew that. These ones were built for the Northeastern Railway. This one was built in 1874 for the Northeastern Railway. It's a lovely engine, lovely little goods engine. Starting to evolve more and more like the engines we know today. Here we have a derelict narrow gauge carriage that could really do with a bit of restoration. Got a milk tanker there. And they've got one of the Festiniog Railway's double fairley engines here. Livingston Thompson, one of the original ones, built in 1885. Double fairleys, of course, being the dual boilered engines. First built in 1885, rebuilt 1905. This one is still owned by the Festiniog Railway, though it hasn't run for years and is on long-term loan to the NRM. A very nice one. A little narrow gauge one here called Pet. This is a cute one. Built in 1865 at Crew Works. Cute. This one's one of the early Southern Railway EMUs, dating from the 1930s. Not too sure what class this is, but I can tell this is a Southern Railway EMU from the 30s. Yeah, the Southern Railways started electrifying their commuter lines in the 30s for easier and for faster acceleration, faster journeys for commuters, and shorter turnaround times with having cabs at both ends. These look really comfortable. Very plush seats in there with separate compartments. These would have been really nice to travel on, I reckon. Yeah. In my eyes, multiple units are best for suburban commuter trains and regional trains, whereas loco haul trains are best for intercity services. And the Southern Railway knew this, as they only electrified their commuter lines and left the rest to the steam, to the express, and left their intercity and express trains to the steam locomotives. Very nice. Yeah. I think this is only one coach of what would have originally been a 4-car unit. They still would have used like this traditional chain hook to hook the coaches together, though, not like permanently coupled EMU, not like the permanently coupled EMUs we have today. Brake pipe, chain and all. Now this one is one of the real greats. This is one of the highlights of the museum. Duchess of Hamilton. The streamlined LMS coronation class. Talked about this engine before, and my friend Odd Dragon, when I showed him this engine on a live stream once, he said this looked like an upside down bathtub. Well, actually, that may have been said in the video this engine was talked about on, but he's found this engine really cool. Streamlined casing for high-speed running, and also for Art Deco style appearance. They look amazing in these. Maroon and gold looks amazing on the coronation class. William Stanier, this locomotive's designer, actually hated the streamlined casing and had it removed after World War II, but I still think the engine looks better with its streamlined casing. I think the coronation class still looks better with its streamlined casing. All of the coronation class locomotives had their streamlined casing removed after the war. Three of these coronation class engines are preserved, but Duchess of Hamilton had its streamlined casing restored in 2009. I think it looks amazing with the casing. I remember in the video that I watched about these engines during my LMS live stream, I remember the creator saying that the Duchess class engines were really hungry. They consumed loads of coal and the firemen struggled to keep up with its appetite. Yeah, running at over 100 miles an hour, up the West Coast Main Line, over Shap Summit. Oh, going up Shap Summit must have been a nightmare for firemen driving these engines up to Glasgow. Big nightmare. Only a little wooden stool for the driver to sit on as well. Better than crews of the 19th century, though, always having to stand up. Right, so this coach here was built in 1851 for the Eastern Counties Railway. You can see it's heavily based on the Liverpool and Manchester Railway style of coaches. So yeah, railway coaches were starting to evolve by this point, but they hadn't quite got there yet. And behind and in front of it, we've got a little 040 industrial shunter built by Black Hawthorn engineers in 1874 for shunting duties around Tyne and Wear, around Gateshead. These are lovely little Bagnall engines. I think this design looks as though it would have gone on as the basis for the Peckett and the Pug shunters that were built about 70 years later. On this
this train is moving.
No, it says on this track, the LNER Streamline Pacific locomotive Sir Ralph Wedgwood was destroyed during an air raid on the night of the 28th to the 29th of April, 1942. Two other locomotives were also destroyed. B16, one other. B16 number 925 was also destroyed. In remembrance of the engine by the Gresley Society on the 50th anniversary. Now, here we have the piece de resistance of this museum, the crowning glory of the National Railway Museum, number 4468 Mallard, the A4 class Gresley Pacific that to this day remains the fastest steam locomotive ever built. July 3rd, 1938, it hit 126 miles an hour. No steam locomotive has ever gone faster. Plenty of other trains have gone faster than Mallard, even in regular service today, but Mallard is the only steam locomotive that ever reached 126 miles an hour. And he is gorgeous. Built the very same year it hit its speed record as well, in 1938. Mallard was only a few months old when it did its speed record. And behind it we have a dynamometer car. These are the cars that accurately clocked the speed of the trains as they hit their speed records. The special white wheel there to gauge exactly how fast it's going, and then the information picked up by this wheel would have been relayed into a paper graph inside the coach that showed how fast it was going. Mallard will always be, hopefully anyway, it'll always be the fastest steam locomotive ever built. Yeah, this dynamometer car was originally built for the Great Northern Railway in 1906. Until the Great Northern Railway became part of the LNER. Inside here you can see all the equipment and machines that would have gauged Mallard's speed record. Accurately recorded Mallard's speed record. Amazing stuff indeed. Now then, I'm gonna get in the queue here to have a look inside Mallard's cab. Be back in a moment, guys. Oh, and while I wait, just have a quick look at that Class 20 over there. We'll have a closer look at that in a bit. Here we go, into Mallard's cab. Out there!
So, welcome to the footplate, the fastest steam engine in the world. We're now taking that sign off the side of it. So, behind you in the tender, imagine 8 tons of coal power behind there, over 5,000 gallons of water. Now, for some numbers, this engine, when it's running at 89 per mile an hour, will be using 50 to 60 gallons of water per mile travel. It's like 5 bucketfuls. This is per mile. This is the heart of the monster here. That's where the fireman will be firing every minute or two into there. Let's say I never saw a fat fireman. This is his seat that you're really sitting down. So this is your throttle. This is your regulator. This allows steam from the very top of the boiler into the cylinders. Once you've got it going, although it's 500 or 600 tonnes in total, you don't need as much steam because it's steel on steel, not directly resistance. So you can cut down the amount of steam you're using with this thing compressor. Does you mind if far enough around you can turn in reverse? Not that they drove steam engines in reverse very often. You have a turntable for turning around. So the fireman firing is a job you know from the name.
Yeah.
But the other really important job is keeping an eye on the levels of water. The water in there is boiling at 200 degrees, not 100, and it's at 250 psi, 17 atmospheres. So how do you get water in there pretty much constantly against that pressure? Well, you use steam. It's a steam engine. Use steam that's been through the system once, exhausted, when it's running. When it's not running, you use live steam straight off the boiler, so exhausted and live steam. Here you've got two gauge glasses, level of water. If you can't see the water, it might mean you've got too much in there. Before you might be priming water into the cylinder, which is bad because you've got less water. If you can't see it because it's too low, that's even more exciting. That means you might uncover the crown of the firebox, which results in an explosion. And to mitigate against that, they've got little lead alloy plugs in the top of the firebox, which, if it's uncovered, they will melt and let steam straight onto the fire. Kills it there. Horrific noise. Very, very rarely happens, because if you do that, you haven't blown the thing up, but you've done the next worst thing. Someone will have to come out and shove you back into wherever you're going. That does not happen regularly. There's a video of what happened to a heritage railway in South Africa with blocked a main line.
Oh dear.
Somewhere down in South Africa for about 2 or 3 hours. They were not going to do it. That's your brake system there. It's a vacuum brake system. Use the steam to take the brakes off to create a vacuum when you want to put the brakes on. So most of the braking is done, that's the carriages. Most of the braking is done through the carriages. A little bit through this steam brake for the engine, and also if the link between the carriages is broken, automatically puts the brakes on. You probably have seen steam engines disappearing in a cloud of condensation when they start off from station. That's a blasting steam through the cylinders to get rid of any condensed water, because as soon as you stop running, the steam starts condensing to water and you don't want that in the cylinders. Sometimes you do it just for fun because that's what people expect from a steam engine. That's another use of steam, that's a steam sander. Blast steam onto the rails in front of the front of the engine. There is a scoop underneath the tender there that picks water up when it's slow down to about 30 miles an hour from a reservoir between the rails, so they don't have to stop. Driver Joe Dunnington, 61 years old at the time, handpicked by Dresley because he knew him and fireman Tommy Bray to get the best out of it. On the day they had the intercom between us and the down motor cars. And that's all we've got time for, really. Yeah, that's right.
Well, that was a good presentation from that guy. I already knew everything he was talking about, except for the fact that Mallard actually reused its steam over and over so that it wouldn't be expended so much. Which is a good idea, to reuse as much pressure as possible, reuse as much of the steam as possible. Now, one thing that's important to mention that he didn't talk about was the fact that when Mallard hit its 126 mile an hour record, there'd actually been a smoke bomb a stink bomb that had been set into the cab that would have gone off when the locomotive was in danger of overheating due to going so fast. So yeah, the stink bomb went off, and because it was going so fast, it overheated, and they basically couldn't go any faster than 126 as a result of the stink bomb going off. Otherwise, the locomotive would have been completely buggered. It was buggered anyway after its 126 mile an hour run, but it was still pretty buggered. Mallard. So, after its run, was repaired and sent straight back into service though, of course. And Mallard did run in steam on rail tours during the 1980s, but I don't think it's run in steam since. It really should run again though. It really should be overhauled and run again though. I love the LNER blue. The blue livery that Mallard has really complements its red wheels. Yeah, I really like that. Oh yeah, I meant to say, the other reason they couldn't go above 126 wasn't just due to the stink bomb going off, but also because they were approaching the Essentine curve, and at 126 they would have come off the rails had they tried to go round it at 126. So yeah, it's a good thing they slowed down in time, otherwise Mallard would have been really, really buggered had it come off the rails at Essentine. Anyway, we'll have another... I'll show you some of the other exhibits they've got in a moment. So here we've got a gorgeous Pullman coach in a lovely maroon livery, Topaz. I love Pullman coaches, I just love them. The Pullmans are probably some of my favourite railway coaches behind the LNER Teaks. Well, maybe not behind, I think I like the Pullmans as much as the LNER Teaks. Anyway, here we've got the sole surviving Southeastern and Chatham Railway D-Class. These 440 express locomotives would have run trains from London Charing Cross, London Victoria, down to Dover and the coast at Margate and Ramsgate. Here we are, D-Class number 737, built in 1901. Remained in service until the 1950s. The locomotive played a starring role in the Oscar-winning film Chariots of Fire in 1981. I didn't know this was in Chariots of Fire, this engine. Then again, I haven't seen that film, so I wouldn't have known that. Now this one's gorgeous though, these 440s. So gorgeous. Here we have a GWR rail car, diesel rail car. I went on one of these when I went to the Didcot Railway Centre back in February. These are lovely. Here we've got a flat wagon with a Freightliner container. I think these were some of the first wagons used when containerization became mainstream on freight trains. Here we've got one of the this is the very first HST Class 43 power car that was ever built. Sir Kenneth Grange. Yeah, I love the HSTs. This was in service with this remained in service with GWR, Sir Kenneth Grange, right up until 2019, when it was withdrawn and is now on display here at the Railway Museum. Lovely stuff. The very first HST power car ever built. Yeah, these are the greatest diesels ever created. Oh yeah, and the unions requested for there to be 2 seats because they still wanted 2 people in the cab at all times, so firemen wouldn't lose their jobs. You've got the radio set up, the throttles there. Quick look in the HST cab. And Sir Kenneth Grange kept its British Rail blue and yellow livery all throughout its life. Preservation. Oh, this is a nice one. This is a Class 76, I think. These electric locomotives would have worked on the now closed Woodhead line between Sheffield and Manchester, hauling goods trains over the 1,500 volt electric Woodhead line. EM1, number 26020, built in 1951. Later receiving the classification Class 76. Life for train crews that used to dread the Woodhead Tunnel. Steam locomotives. In the poorly ventilated 3-mile Woodhead Tunnel, fumes from steam locomotives could suffocate crew members. Oh dear. Referring to locomotives as objects is just insulting. Science Museum Group object. Referring to them as objects is just insulting. They're more than just objects. They're awesome, powerful machines. Trains. They're amazing. They're amazing things, more than mere objects. Designed by Sir Nigel Gresley. These the EM1s / Class 76s. Developed from his original design. Prototype was lent to the war-damaged Dutch railways in 1947. Nice. Gorton built at Gorton Works in 1951. In my Redcliffe Railway Tales headcanon, David was originally built as not a Class 76, but a Class 77, and he originally worked on the Woodhead line when it first opened. But then, in 1994, he received a full rebuild into a Class 92. That's my headcanon. David started life as a Class 77 for the Woodhead line, but then was rebuilt into a Class 92. You can even see the knuckle coupler here that was used to couple the HST Class 43s to the Mark III coaches. And if you look through the grille here, you can see into the class, into Sir Kenneth Granger's engine. Nice. Yeah, Sir Kenneth Grange is, as I said, named after the designer of the exterior look of the HSTs and Mark III coaches. Lovely stuff. But then we have the HST's inferior replacement, the IETs. These are nowhere near as good. 21st century. High-speed train. Good at all. Nowhere near as good as everything that came before anyway. Here we've got a Eurostar power car that's been preserved with the original Eurostar logo and in the original colours, the original white and yellow colour scheme. Yeah, these were first maintained at North Pole Depot. But then the Eurostars were, and the Eurostars were originally fitted with third rail equipment as well as overhead power line equipment to run on the southern region, to run on the southern network down to the Channel. But now, of course, it was no longer needed when High Speed 1 came about. Oh, they've got plenty of merchandise on display here. City Bricks, a clear Lego rip-off. City Bricks Class 801. Jesus.
Tiny bit short.
I'm tempted to get one of these models, but it's a bit out of my price range at the moment. £300 for this Hornby Dublow Silver King. Piss off. Oh, Monsell D1 for £199. That's not too bad. A bullied leader for £185, not too bad. Derby DMU. Oh, a 2-car DMU set for 270 isn't too bad. Got an O-gauge austerity as well. Got some Thomas models as well. V1 tank engine for 170, not too bad. 164 for a 94 pannier tank isn't too bad. Pannier tank. Someone wrote an entire book about the 1988 Clapham Junction train crash. Interesting. You got a whole bunch of Mallard merch here. An actual Mallard duck as the Mallard steam locomotive. That's hilarious. They even do Mallard plushies. Oh my god. That's adorable. A Mallard plushie. Only £25 as well. A Mallard plushie indeed. Oh, that's brilliant. Got a Big Jigs Mallard battery engine. Oh, I can't get over how they sell Mallard plushies.
Oh, is it? Yeah? Oh, didn't you? Oh, I get that.
That's hilarious. I'm tempted to get one now. Though I'd rather go home with an actual working model. Oh, they've got plushies of Flying Scotsman as well. In its LNER 4472, guys. Adorable. Flying Scotsman and Mallard plushies. Oh, I had one of these truffle tins with a Flying Scotsman in it once. Oh, brilliant. Got a whole Mallard train set up there. How much is this?
Cool, careful, don't knock it down.
Oh no, I won't.
Where's the Mallard?
Oh, that's just an empty box. Mallard record breaker set there.
This is train we were on the Zuma.
Yes.
Look at that.
I know.
Look at this Lego version.
I know. Over here we have all sorts of nameplates that would have been used on all sorts of existing and scrapped locomotives back in the day. Preserved nameplates. Most of these come from scrap locomotives, which is a bit of a shame. I wish more of them had been preserved, but oh well. I did also see there was a model railway over there, which I'll have a look in a second. Looks like they open up the Eurostar in there, the Eurostar cab. There's a platform along here, so it looks like they open up the Eurostar cab for visitors to look inside sometimes, not all the time though. Anyway, now I'm going to have a look in the model railway. All sorts of scale models here. All these ones look like they're O-gauge models. We've got an A3 here, Royal Langer, number 4476. So the 6th one built. I believe Great Northern was the first and Flying Scotsman was the second. We've got a Great Western Atlantic here. I'm not too sure what class that one is. LMS Princess Royal. There. Oh, this is a really nice O-gauge layout.
Your head.
Yeah, I think O-gauge would be perfect for me to use for the trains in Raptor Dogs. because it's big enough to look nice and realistic on camera, but not massively big or expensive, unlike gauge 1, which is what was used in Thomas. Yeah, O gauge I think would be ideal for O gauge would be ideal for raptor dogs. So we've got a Ginty pulling a goods train, bunker first. It's going to come out the tunnel any moment.
Look, your train is coming.
Yeah, there it is.
The train is here. Look, it's gone there. Going through the tunnel now. No, it doesn't come out like that. It come out there. No, it's there as well.
We've got a rail car there as well. Looks like a steam rail car.
You were right. It comes out of this one as well. Look.
Sorry, this is a new one. We haven't seen this one before.
Let's go into that tunnel over there.
Maybe. There must be.
And there comes the rail car.
Look, it's going into the tunnel. Look, it's going in. There must be. And it's coming out of that.
It comes out on this side.
Going for that.
Lovely stuff.
Have you seen the barrels? Look, barrels at the bottom.
Yeah, O gauge would be ideal for, as I said, O gauge would be ideal for
Are you watching any
for raptor dogs. Building monorail is an art and a science. Things of Olympics. 1980. O gauge models to the 1960s. 43.5 times smaller than the real thing, but will clock up around 6 real world miles every day. Nice. And then stopping in the evening.
Are we going to say
Nice. So this is an automatically run model railway on a time-based schedule. Very nice.
Where do they go?
Here we got a little LSWR tank engine pulling a little short goods train.
I'm going to get to this mission.
Very large factory. Sorry. Oh, here we got a much longer coal train here. LNER tank engine pulling a coal train. Very nice. With a Northeastern Railway brake van at the back. Trundling along slowly into the tunnel. Ah, stupid camera. Not focusing. There's the rail car. sight. Flying O-gauge Flying Scotsman pulling teaks. That is a very nice sight indeed. Got a little terrier as well. Any second now it's going to come out the tunnel. There it is.
That stuff, that was all.
Where's the other? Should we go in some of the other sheds now?
In a minute. Newspaper van at the back as well. Literally for carrying newspapers. We've got a luggage van at the front and a newspaper van at the back. Newspaper van indeed. Newspaper comic. Newspaper van. Scotsman's coming back now. And it stopped.
Start building this sort of layout.
I have been thinking about using the garage to film Raptor Dogs in, build the model sets in there, but my mum's, they're quite iffy about that idea.
Right, shall we go and look at some of the other?
You look at these are the little narrow gauge locomotives that were used to build the Channel Tunnel. So a temporary narrow gauge railway was built in the Channel Tunnel to help construct it. Then the narrow gauge rails were taken up and replaced with the standard gauge ones. Stanimore Summit, height 1,370 feet. Lovely. Got some more boards of nameplates for locomotives here. Looks like this one's a narrow gauge South African locomotive built to run on 3-foot 6-inch gauge. Worked for over 70 years before being donated to artist and conservationist David Shepherd by then President of Zimbabwe, Kenneth Kaunda. Donated a helicopter in 1974 to help prevent poaching. He received number 390 in return and brought it back to Britain in 1975. Nice. Yeah. Oh, that's the bullet train, one of the preserved Zero Series Shinkansen bullet train coach. We can go in. We can go into this one. Right, now we're going to go in. Now we're going to go in this bullet train coach. Zero Series Shinkansen. I think this was donated to the museum a while ago when the Zero Series was being retired in 2008. Here's the design of the Shinkansen over the years. 700, N700. The time has come for the maglev. No wheels at all. They're building a new Sanyo Shinkansen line. It's really expensive and won't open for years. It's not open yet. It won't open for years.
Bullet train, I mean.
Were these the first high speed, or was the...
Yes, this was the first high-speed trains.
Not the French one, no?
No, these were the first high-speed trains dating from 1964. Got some katakana characters on here as well.
Do you want the flavour of Japan?
Dun, 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 dun.
Well, those small seats on the one you went on as well, Alex.
I think they were slightly larger, the seats on here.
They started to increase in by then.
But you know what they do whenever a Shinkansen reaches the end of the line or the end of its journey? Do you know what they do? These seats can actually are on like turntables, and they basically turn the seats around so that all passengers are always facing the direction of travel, no matter what. So So you know how on the British trains some passengers sit backwards. Not on the bullet trains, on the Japanese Shinkansens.
You get more people on board like this. No tables in between.
Yes.
Airline seats.
Yeah, and they and the Japanese prefer to always sit facing the direction of travel. Mount Fuji.
Iconic picture there. Big windows on them as well.
Yeah, they are long windows. I do love traditional Japanese music. I know. Trolley service.
I don't like to go in. I don't like to go in.
You get a better view of the Shinkansen. Lovely stuff. Over here we've got another South African locomotive. This one's standard gauge though. African locomotive. Huge freight engine. Here we've got one of the older underground cars that were used on the subsurface lines. This engine had both a traditional steam whistle and a diesel air horn, and an air horn usually found on diesels, so it had both. That's very interesting. Auxiliary electric motor coach for the London. Oh, these were used on the London North Western Railway actually, like for their Watford DC lines. I remember that.
Looks a bit like
It's an American one here.
No, this one's Chinese. It was built here in the UK, but it was built for China, running until 1977, and the Chinese government gifted it to the National Railway Museum in 1981. Enormous. These are enormous. Oh, I can see there's barriers in here as well, because they obviously must sometimes allow people to see inside it, or at least must have done so in the past. This one is a model of a Central Indian locomotive from 1863. Looks very much like Brunel's broad gauge locomotives. Very nice. A fully working locomotive. Here we got a little terrier on display here, Box Hill. These little terrier engines that were used for short trains on the London Brighton South Coast Railway, built at Brighton Works in 1880. So slightly younger than Stepney, but still a terrier, much like him. London, Brighton and South Coast Railway, number 82. One of the 10 preserved LBSCR terriers. And then lastly, in this area anyway, we have Cheltenham, the schools class. 440 schools class. Some of the most powerful 440 locomotives ever built in the UK. Designed by Richard Maunsell. Do love the schools class engines. They're gorgeous. Though obviously there's other Southern Railway designs I like more. Very, very nice indeed. So Cheltenham is one of the 3 preserved schools class engines. Lovely stuff. This looks like a mock-up cab of Duke of Gloucester, number 71,000. Yeah, Duke of Gloucester. Very recently returned to service. This is a nice little area. Nice model of a North Eastern Railway locomotive here. They've got a Deltic there. Lovely stuff. All sorts of lovely models here. I'll probably come back in here later, guys, so I need to find a place to charge the camera battery first. I wasn't able to find my spare camera battery, so I'll need to find a place to charge this in a minute. Lots of lovely models here. They've even got a model of the of a Deltic, and there's a full-scale Deltic here. Class 55. Switched on. The non. Here's the Great Northern. Here's the plans, the original plans for the LNER-A1, it looks like. The King's Own Yorkshire Light Infantry, built in 1961. Class 55 Deltic. Lovely. There's this sole surviving Q1 class tender that's currently under restoration here. Lovely stuff. And another LNER teak here. Loads of LNER teaks seem to have been preserved. Thousands of people to this day keep lining the tracks to see Scotsman. I doubt we'll see Scotsman today, though. It's most likely out on a rail tour somewhere today. Returned to service in 2016. It's recently had another brief overhaul, Scotsman, to keep it going even longer. Keep it going for a bit longer. All sorts of lovely railway memorabilia here. Lovely. Here we've got a model of a Class 77, what David was originally built as before his rebuild into a Class 92. Here we have a model of the unbuilt and unrealised Intercity 250. This was designed as an evolution of the Intercity 225. With Class 93 locomotives, same idea, locomotive at the front, bunch of Mark V coaches in the middle, DVT at the back, and these would have been an evolution of the 225s, running express services along both the East and West Coast main lines. I reckon I would have loved travelling on these trains, though not as much as the 225s. Automatic door passenger coaches here. Oh, and here we have a model of the Silver Link, the first A4 that was ever built. This is just a model of it though. Silver Link has since been scrapped sadly, but it would have been nice to see at least one of the silver A4s preserved. Unfortunately, none of them were. Would have been nice to have at least one though, making 7 total preserved A4s. Meaning that a full 5th of all the A4s built would have been preserved. Models of Mark III coaches and some Class 85s, 86s there. Very nice stuff. Our signalling school here. This is obviously what signalmen used to train on. This looks like a model of an advanced steam locomotive, the 5AT. It would have evolved steam technology. Never came to be though, but oh well. Lancashire and Yorkshire Railway Signalling School from 1912. Nice. North British Railway Atlantic model there. We've worked up in Scotland, that one. Very nice. We've got a Class 60 up there. Very deep into this section now.
Was the metal mat not round here?
Gradient signpost there. Got some lovely mosaics here. Station plan of Liverpool Lime Street. Model station gantries, a huge stop sign, Woodbridge stop sign. Oh, and if we go out here, get to see the trains passing out here. Nice. There's the branch to Scarborough heading that way. So here you can see a Class 185 Desiro departing York for Scarborough. Very nice. Class 185s are nice. And then I can hear there's another train coming in. Oh, it's an Azuma. That was nice. I like how there's a viewing platform here at the Railway Museum, either way. All sorts of data systems and radio recording equipment here. Signal lever frame here. How signalling on the railways works. Old film about how signalling on the railways works.
Warning signals indicate that the line is clear only so far as the next stop signal.
Yes. Signal that's anyhow. There's a model of a Class 150 Sprinter there. Efficiency and control. Oh yeah, we can see the signal train movements of the trains coming in and out of York right now. This must be live feed from the York Signalling Control Centre. There must be a platform out there to show trains coming in and leaving on these signals. Early signalling, mechanical signalling, electrical signalling, computerized signalling. Set and managed automatically and remotely. Large signal rail operating centre like the one at York. Signalling centres now control the railways for like signal boxes. Oh, we've got a cross-country Voyager departing. Packed to the brim, like always, because it's a cross-country service. Oh, I didn't mean to open that. Colour lights. Semaphore. And then move up to digital signalling. The idea of digital signalling on an ETCS, I feel a bit iffy about that. More efficient. Oh my god, look! They've even got like a station sign for platform 9 3/4, just like in Harry Potter. Nice. Computerized electrical, mechanical, early. Signaling switches and routes. Very interesting stuff. There's even more models along here I didn't notice. What I also didn't notice was one of the engines I picked up on camera earlier was model of City of Truro, supposedly first engine to reach 100 miles an hour, though for me I still believe it was Flying Scotsman. Whole bunch of Northwestern Railway locomotives and chocolate and cream coaches here. All these are lovely coaches. A whole bunch of model freight wagons here as well. Very long coal trains and other sorts of freight trains. All these are lovely models. Right, it's just after 20 to 1 now, so I'm gonna go grab some coffee, then maybe a bit of lunch. Be back in a sec, guys. Well, this seems like a fun place. About the whole science behind railways. I believe this used to be the workshops where they restored Flying Scotsman in. I remember as a very young kid standing up on that very balcony seeing Flying Scotsman stripped down to its frames, undergoing its overhaul. Now, of course, being used as a slight Wonderworks place, showing the science of railways. Very nice. I know all about this. Shapes working best on tracks. The East Anglian Railway Museum has something similar to this, but here you can build your own wheel types. This one's quite wobbly. So yeah, they do have a cone shape on, and it falls back into there. Cone shape on these wheels, but trains do have cone-shaped wheels, but it's a very subtle cone shape. Oh, and you need to get it the right gauge as well. Rubbish. Alright, so I'm currently in the Discovery Centre of the Wonder Lab. Like a science-based thing about different physics and how physics affect the world of the railways. Here we've got a display of magnetic liquid here. These are always mesmerising. Oh, and this is how electromagnets work. Turn the magnet on and it starts pulling the magnetic fluid up like this. Push it down. Move the magnet up and down. Pulls it like this. And they can do the same here. Magnetic display like this. And like this magnetic display, you can do all sorts of things. Very fun, these magnetic displays. Oh, this one's just hardened. Don't think this does anything, it's just hard. Wind tunnel. How wind affects streamlining of locomotives. race locomotives. Oh, this is a fun one. Look how gradients affect railways. This is so mesmerizing. Like, no matter what you do with the sand, how you change the sand, it never like damages the landscape. It never like damages. Sorry. It never like damages the landscape. Gotta let others do it, mate. Oh, this is so. Look, if you build the sand up in places, it creates new land, and then if you dig it out, it follows out the sea. This is so cool. This is so cool. The level of the sand. This is so cool. The level of the sand. The level of the sand. Oh, there's also this. Oh, there's also this. Watch. Oh. They also have this, guys. Watch. They have several of these around here. Used to love doing stuff like this at science parks. So mesmerizing. Now they have a lot of these tubes where you can send balls going all around. Nice. And there's one here where you can have like an escalator making it go up. There goes one of the balls. Very nice. There we got a bunch of helicopters going like that. Just because. Airflow and such. Helicopter, helicopter. Place over there where scars can be given the stuck, if you know what I mean. Well, I'll be making my way out of here soon and then heading on to this model shop on the other side of York that I really want to see. First things first though, back into the main part of the museum, and then there's a couple other places I want to see. Look in a sec, guys. So I'm now on the Friends balcony, showing all sorts of railway photography and model things. Well, railway photography. Transformation in progress. Search engine. I get it. All sorts of railway books here.